Good morning and welcome to Unity on the River. It's great to have you here today. Keith Bickford is going to open up today with a fairly new song called Let Your Light Shine.
Good morning and happy Sunday to all my brothers and sisters here at Unity. So, first of all, I want to say that thanks for having me as your guitar player for the last 12 years, and thanks for loving me along the way. And if anybody needs an explanation, I'll tell you after the service, but someone brought a chart in one of the educational parts of church here. They talked about an experience of ikigai, where all these certain things come together and at your highest self. So when I'm singing to you folks, I'm not only having the time of my life, I'm in my ikigai. And so thanks for providing that for me. And I would also like to offer this song up for October Craig, because she's been singing this song to me for probably 12 years, long before I learned the song about a month ago, just with her energy and how she held me. So
nice.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. You say you're gonna get older. Now what are you gonna do? Let that world go by in the corner of the room. Well, I know it's none of my business. There's something I got to say. You could see you like I see you, you'd be flying on your own. Get out of the way and let your light shine. Let your light show. It's a short ride, but it's a long road. The rain comes, the wind blows, light shine wherever you go. This whole world is ready and waiting for you to kick on through. You got to recognize, realize there's nobody quite like you. Well, I know, come on up. Hey, don't be afraid. There's a place that you rise up to. No one else can do it like you do. Get out of the way and let your light shine. Let your love show. It's a short ride down a long road. When the rain comes and the wind blows, hey, let your light shine. Let your light shine, let your love show. It's a short ride, long road. When the rain comes and the wind blows, let your light shine. Come on, let your light shine, let your love show. It's a short ride, but sure a long road. When the rain comes, hey, when the wind blows, let your light shine. Thank you.
Revo brought us that tune. Very nice. All right. So our next tune today, I would like to actually raise up the community for a couple of things that are going on. First of all, definitely for October Craig, who's been such a love. And I'd also like to offer this song for Patty Barkus, and just holding all of the light and love up for her healing her infection and rejoining back to us. But she's done an amazing job healing herself with her own love. And I'd like to return that love back, because she's been amazing for this community. And join along. The words are up on the PowerPoint, and we'll just raise it up and see her back on her feet, as well as October back with us. Here we go. All these pieces, broken and scattered, gathered, mended, and then made whole, empty-handed, but not forsaken. I've been set free. I've been set free. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved someone like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Oh, I can see now. Oh, I can see the love in your eyes. Made yourself known. Raising up the broken to life. In human failure or in our weakness, there's still treasure in jars of clay. So take this heart, oh, I'll be the vessel the world to see. Spirit in me. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saves someone like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I Thank you so much. If you're comfortable, stay standing and join the hand of the person next to you. This is that song, We Do Not.
Let us pray. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place, in, through, and as each and every one of you. Not simply in this place, in this building, and at this time, but in the world. Every moment that you walk, you are in the embodiment of the divine. Every place that you go, God is there because you have entered the room. The fullness of God is fully present at the point of you. Remember that, live that, know that. Allow that to transform who you are and transform this world. And allow that to keep you grounded in open-hearted love. And at a time when we, as a people, as a country, again, stand in uncertainty, shock, numbness, that the unwarranted violence wrought upon others, we remember to be open-hearted. We remember to know that the presence of God is flowing as love and comfort and support. So I invite us at this moment, in this now time, with our open hearts, to extend for a few moments in silence a measure of love, comfort, support, understanding, just honoring where we are now, for the lives lost and those affected by the horror at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. We connect with them in oneness, and we honor them for a few moments of silence. And so it is, and so let it be. Amen. You may be seated. Good morning. I'm Reverend Ogun Holder, Senior Minister here at Unity on the River. I'm so glad you've chosen to share this Sunday morning with us. It's been a tough weekend and a tough week for a lot of us for so many reasons, national and personal. I'll talk about that some more later today, but I don't know about you guys, but I feel the comfort of community this morning. I feel the love and the sadness. I feel the support and the despair. It's all floating around. And here's the good news. We don't got to make sense of it today. We don't. All we got to do is remember who we are. and continue to live that. But don't let me preach my sermon now, because I won't have anything to say in about 15 minutes. But what I do want to do is for us to continue moving forward, and part of that sense of who we are is sharing of each other, and I'm so thrilled to be sharing today with Mickey, who's facilitating. Thank you, Mickey.
Good morning. I was supposed to facilitate last week, but I was under the weather. So David, thank you. We're a team. So I was bummed, too, because I enjoy this so much. So yes, once again, my name is Mickey Lucia. I don't know if you're new here. Raise your hand. Okay, so we've got a flower and a welcome packet. You don't know who I am, so I'm going to be facilitating. Keep your hands up. I'll be popping in and out during service to keep things moving. Thank you for coming. We always honor all paths to God, and we're so glad to have you. That is a welcome packet with a flower. In there is some information about us, and then there's a table out in fellowship with some more information if you want to find out. Talk to somebody over there. I hope you enjoy the service. Thank you so much. Now let's say hi to the streamers. Hi guys, how are you? Good morning. I hope you're all comfy and cozy, all curled up watching us. Thanks for joining us. Unity on the River is a center of celebration, transformation, inspiration, spirit-centeredness, oneness, and joy. Let's hold these truths in our heart as we say together our mission and our vision statements. Our mission statement together. We are a vibrant spiritual community that celebrates the presence in all and awakens humanity to its divinity. And then our vision statement. Let's really take this into our heart together. Centered in love, we joyously co-create a world of oneness, peace, and harmony. Got a few announcements. You are all invited to attend the community meeting today. It's going to be right after service, so we're not even going to be bringing the kids in. We're going to go right into it. We're going to just go through some items. If it'd be a good time to get information, ask questions, that type of thing is right after service. November 4th, which is next Sunday, Michael Murdad will be the guest speaker. Please join him at 10 a.m. for the talk, 12 p.m. for Manifesting Love and Abundance workshop. He will also be hosting an Evening of Miracles on November 6th, which is Election Day. We know what to do then, at 7 p.m., so that won't intrude with your voting time. Private sessions are also being provided by Michael, and you can sign up for a time slot in the Resource Center. Unity Basics will be on November 11th and 18th, after service at 12 p.m. with our own Reverend Ogun Holder. You must attend both sessions for requirement to become a Unity member. Sign up is in the bookstore. Once again, Thanksgiving potluck will be happening and open mic night at the same time, November 21st at 5:30. If you'd like to participate in the open mic, please sign up for the preview days with Keith Bickford. Preview days are November 11th and the 18th. Those sign-ups are also in the Resource Center. Thank you. So now it's that time in our service for when we greet each other with love. Now more than ever, we need each other. And we say, Namaste, which means, I see you. And now we welcome up, looks like Sherry Gaudette, for our heart opener through the long night.
reminds me of so many things. Some from right now, some from long ago. Even in the rain, pelting sideways down my face, I still remember the loves of the place. Nature has ebbings and ours has their finding, and fine-tuned songs with stories lifting and lighting. A weave in the measure brings every real treasure, and all we could imagine is our finest pleasure. Then a flash on the wall, we go into the light. A guide from below through the long night. A guide from below through the long night. The wind in the rain reminds me of so many things. Some from right now, some from long ago. As a guide from the love through the long night. A guide from the love brings us through the long night. Sherry Rebel, gorgeous. Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you, Sherry and Maura. It's beautiful. So there are many ministers, pastors, priests who spend a lot of time this week preparing a talk and realize this weekend it's going to have to change, because here we again find ourselves in this place where we see further evidence of what we might think is not the world of oneness we are trying to create. And, you know, we sadly as a country are becoming, for some of us, increasingly numb to this. Some of us are going to have our normal responses. Some of us may want to choose sides around an issue around this. And there's a double truth to what's happening here. You know, often we think that there's only one truth, one response, but multiple things can be true at the same time. One of the first truths that we have to acknowledge is that if we want to see a change in laws and policies, we have to take part of the democratic process. We got to go out and vote, and we're going to have the opportunity to do that in a couple weeks, and you know, Tuesday next, not this Tuesday. So I encourage you all to go out and do it, not from a place of the us and themness, but again, as this book, Story Over Time, has been inviting us to do, but from that place of oneness consciousness, from that place of the higher good, the common good, if you will, that regardless of where we stand, we know we all want to experience that world of peace and less violence and openness and acceptance. That's true. That's the truth. We're part of this process, and it's a spiritual imperative for us to be part of this process. I remember one of my favorite Jesus passages was when someone said to him, if what you're saying is true about God being the only thing in our lives that we pay our attention to, then why do we need to pay taxes? And that was a big thing in Jesus' time. Here's this occupying force, the Romans who've come in and said to people, you got to pay tax to Rome. And these are people who already were so poor and destitute, but still required to pay tax. And Jesus famously held up a coin, the story goes, and says, whose face is on the coin? And someone says, Caesar's. He says, well, give to God what is God, and give to Caesar's what is Caesar's. In other words, we're here in this human plane of existence. We have to take part in the human elements of creating what we want to experience. And one of those things is exercising our right to vote. So that's true. So that's giving to Caesar what is Caesar's. The other part is also true. Give to God what is God's. And when we stand here at this precipice in time, we realize to give to God what is God's is to, in spite of the appearance of what we see, to remain grounded in the truth of what we know is real. And this is perhaps the most challenging thing of all. I read a quote recently from Anne Lamott. You're all familiar with the author, Anne Lamott. If you haven't read anything by her, please read everything she's written. That's all I can say. This is from a book called Almost Everything, Notes on Hope. And I generally don't read email on Sunday mornings before service. I mean, generally my email reading stops Thursday night because I basically work Sunday through Thursday. Friday and Saturdays are my days off, and much of the frustration of many of you, I don't read email on Friday or Saturday. Definitely not on Sunday morning, but it was, again, one of these things where, for some reason, I felt led to check emails, and I'll tell you why in a little bit, but there was this update from Anne Lamott, and she quote from her book, Almost Everything, Notes on Hope. In general, it doesn't feel like the light is making a lot of progress. It feels like death by annoyance. At the same time, the truth is that we are beloved, even in our current condition, by someone. We have loved and been loved. We have also known the abyss of love, lost to death or rejection, and that it somehow leads to new life. We've been redeemed and saved by love, even as a few times we've been nearly destroyed. And worse, seen our children nearly destroyed. We are who we love. We are one. In general, it doesn't feel like the light is making a lot of progress. And it's kind of felt that way this week. Not just with the shooting that occurred, but the news about the guy sending the pipe bombs. I mean, it's just been a thing after a thing. And even in this community, it's not felt like the light has made a lot of progress. Some of us dealing with such profound illnesses and loss of loved ones. More earlier today alluded to October Craig, who many of us know very well. Even if you don't know her, you know him speaking about, she's been here forever. She usually sits there in her wheelchair on Sunday mornings. This past Saturday, she was admitted into hospice. And this may be new news for some of you. She's been living with MS for quite some time. And last week, her health just took a really sharp turn for the worse. And both her and her husband, Peter, have really honestly, I think, got to a point of acceptance that this may be that time that she does not recover. Many of you know her well, and I am going to invite you to, if you have the opportunity to go visit her this week, do so. But please reach out to her husband, Peter, first. If you want to know how to do that, let me know. We can pass on his contact information. But this is an opportunity to go share some love with her. October has been probably one of the people who has loved this community with her whole self. It's been an inspiration to me. Both of them have been. And the thing that I love most about her is that sharp mind and wit that to this point had never diminished at all. In general, it doesn't feel like the light is making a lot of progress. But the truth is, it is. The truth is, it is. This has been the invitation of this book, The Story of Our Time, that we've been studying the last few weeks, to remind us that it is. We've heard that saying for so many years and decades, that the moral arc of the universe is indeed long, but it bends towards justice. And often we want to nudge it a little quicker. We want to go up to that arc, give it a swift kick, and say, what's taking so long? If you're gonna bend, hurry up and do it, because we want to experience this in our lifetime. Well, let's just face it, we're selfish. We want to experience it in our lifetime, right? And I don't mean selfish in a negative connotation of hoarding, but selfish because we want it so badly because we know it's the truth. And we're getting impatient. Getting impatient. There's a passage in this book that it didn't do so much as to inspire hope in me as it did, again, to remind me of where my anchor is. Because we have to be authentic to how we feel. We have to be authentic to our emotions. We don't want to be in a place of what I like to call sometimes adopting the bliss bunny attitude. You know what the bliss bunny attitude is? The bliss bunny attitude is we put on the fake smile and we go, it's all good because it's all God. It's true, but the bliss bunny attitude is when there is so much in front of us that we don't really feel that in the moment. And to not feel that in the moment is not a betrayal of our spirituality. It's honoring the human of us, knowing that our spiritual self is still anchored. We can do both at the same time. It's really okay. What's not okay is when we use it to unmoor ourselves from our spiritual grounding and descend into the rhetoric of duality and hate and separateness. He said to move from a consciousness of duality, where many cultures exist in conflict, to a consciousness of oneness, where many cultures exist in harmony, may not be as earth-shattering, challenging, or dramatic as it sounds. All it really requires is a shift of awareness toward a new and deeper understanding of our core nature of non-duality, where we recognize that reality is one and that truth is indivisible. To see non-duality as the essence of all existence enables us to adopt a consciousness of oneness, which is what will lead to a culture of oneness. Let me read that again. To see non-duality as the essence of all of existence enables us to adopt a consciousness of oneness, which is what will lead to a culture of oneness. You see, I know for many of us, sometimes unconsciously, subconsciously, we want to put the cart before the horse. We want to experience the culture of oneness before we have got our own consciousness set in oneness. We want it backwards. We want to have our cake and eat it too. We want to go to Burger King and have it our way. But remember last time I talked about divine order. Things have to flow a certain way. This is the imperative. We can't have a culture of oneness until there is a consciousness of oneness. We can't have a collective global consciousness of oneness until we have an individual consciousness of oneness.
What page is that?
Page 134. For those following along in your books, thank you for asking. Page 134. A culture of oneness means living in unity within our multiplicity, honoring our diversity within our common heritage as human beings, and safeguarding our differences while recognizing we are more alike than unalike. Let me read that again. A culture of oneness means living in unity within our multiplicity, honoring our diversity within our common heritage as human beings, and safeguarding our differences while recognizing we are more alike than unalike. A culture of oneness does not mean sameness. A culture of oneness does not mean we all believe the same thing. So last week's talk was interesting. I got some interesting feedback from last week's talk. I got in-person conversations. I got some emails of people who were having trouble taking in the things I shared last week. My response is, I must have done something right, because people are a little bit all upset. You know, as I say, what's the role of the minister? Comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. So some folks got afflicted last week. The 2 points. So last week we talked about these 8 directives that were shared on, for those following along, page whatever it is, I don't remember right now. 105, thank you. Extra star for Barry today. There we go. So these 8, and interestingly enough, the pushback, the response, the agitation of people were only around 2 of them. The first one was around the nature. So let me read it to you real quick. It said, the one that says nature is the embodiment of divine. And in hindsight, I used a fairly extreme example, albeit probably a poor one, about the mosquito. Remember the mosquito example I gave last week? Yes. So for some folks, they heard it as me saying that, you know, all animals stand in equal measure. That, you know, should we pay more attention to saving the mosquito than we do animals on an endangered species? You know, they're more important things we need to look at. And someone raised a question about the horrors of factory farming, which, by the way, totally agree with. I think factory farming is a scourge in our existence. Does this mean we don't eat meat and we become vegetarians and vegans? And, you know, it was a lot of pushback around the animals. What about those tribes, indigenous peoples, who have that really harmonious relationship with nature? And it's not about just hunting for sport or you know, this mass production. It's about this idea of survival. So there was a lot of interesting pushback around that. And I'll invite us simply to remember that these things are an invitation to look at where we are and make the next step forward. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. For some people, it is no problem at all to become vegans, to give up eating meat, to give up participating in the culture that says we grow food as opposed to connect with animals. They have no problem with that, but yeah, we're going to get some deep for the mosquitoes. For people like me, it's easier for me to spare a mosquito than to give up bacon. I mean, I'm just being honest. I am being honest. If my doctor says to me, you have to give up red meat to live long life, my next stop is to my lawyer to get my affairs in order. I'm just saying, everything in moderation, even moderation. We start where we are at. Look at your life. Look at your own lives, and where can you make that first, maybe that second, that third step into being in harmony with nature? It's going to look different for everyone. And the invitation was to be conscious about it. So yes, when we do look at indigenous tribes that have a long history of culture, of being in harmony with the environment, Native American tribes that have that culture of when an animal is hunted for food, for clothing, to help provide shelter, that in essence it is surrendering itself to be part of the process. Sure, yes, conscious relationship with nature. Not an extreme in either one way or the other, but it's about where you're at. The other one I got a lot of interest in pushback on was the one that spoke about varieties of religious expression in the world have the same source and share unity of purpose. That last part, unity of purpose. Yeah, that was a little interesting one for people to swallow. But let me clear what that means, or how I understand it from the reading, how I choose to live it, and I know how many of you choose to live it as well. I mentioned this last week. Let me reiterate it again. It does not mean that we agree with the teachings and tenets of every single religious expression out there. That's not what the book says. That's not what it's asking us to embrace. It says it has the same source. Everything has the same source. What's that source? God. God is all there is. And every religion, every movement, every spiritual practice is our efforts to try to know God more. And they are so varied because God cannot be contained in one definition, one explanation, one belief system. God transcends all that. And in our limited human efforts, we created religion. Different religions, different expressions of religion. And then when those stopped working for some people, they decided to do a reboot, segue off on their own. Buddhism sprung out of Hinduism. Christianity sprung out of Judaism. And then Christianity unfolded into all these multiplicity of appearances, including unity. We don't have to agree with every single one of them. One of the responses was, are you saying that the Westboro Baptists share the same unity of purpose as we do? No, of course not. Of course not, in terms of its teachings and practices and beliefs. But what does every religion and every spiritual movement have in common when we speak about unity of purpose? To know God more. Are there going to be different ways to interpret that? Absolutely. This book is asking you to agree with them. But if we extend the disagreement of the teachings to the disagreement that they are wrong and we are right, we have just slipped back into duality. And when there's duality, there's misunderstanding. With misunderstanding comes fear. And scared people do scary things.
Amen.
And we've seen that this week. Scared people do scary things. So let's reverse engineer the hate. If we hate what we fear, stop fearing. If we fear what we don't understand, seek understanding. And in order to do that, we've got to start from a place of not they are wrong and we are right. Yes, on the surface, we discuss and invite and create policies that lift us all up. Of course we do that. But that's different from an us and them. We need to step into the, what can we do? How can we? And you know what? Here's the thing, folks. You're right. It ain't coming from the top down. We've seen that. We've experienced that. And this is not a new phenomenon. As long as there's been government, for the centuries, it's not coming from the top down all the time. Like everything else comes from the bottom up, comes from the inside out, starts here and moves out. When we speak of unity of purpose of all the religious expressions, Here's an example of how this manifests. We're all familiar with the golden rule. What's the golden rule? Yeah, whatever y'all just said. The golden rule, in essence, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This shows up in some way, shape, or form or interpretation in pretty much every religious expression that has always existed, all the way back to ancient Egypt. Here's some writings I found. Now, this is the command: do to the doer to make him do. That which you hate to be done to you, do not do to another. From ancient India, the Sanskrit tradition, by self-control and by making dharma, or right conduct, your main focus, treat others as you treat yourself. In ancient Greece, we read, do not do to others that which angers you when they do it to you. From Zoroastrianism, which is ancient Persia, which eons back, whatever is disagreeable to yourself, do not do unto others. In Judaism, you shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against your kinfolk. Love your neighbor as yourself. In Christianity, do to others what you want them to do to you. This is the meaning of the law of Moses and the teaching of the prophets. Jesus said that. In Islam, the most righteous person is the one who consents for other people what he consents for himself, and who dislikes for them what he dislikes for himself. Hinduism, do I need to go on? Hinduism, those acts that you consider good when done to you, do those to others, nothing else. In Buddhism, hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. From the Sikh tradition, precious like jewels are the minds of all. To hurt them is not good. If thou desirest thy beloved, then hurt thou not anyone's heart. From the Tao, regard your neighbor's gain as your own gain, and your neighbor's loss as your own loss. From Wicca. Yeah, Wicca. That which ye deem harmful unto thyself, the very same shall ye be forbidden from doing to another. For violence and hatred give rise to the same. And even African traditions like the Yoruba, one who is going to take a pointed stick to pinch a baby bird should first try it on himself to feel how it hurts. This is unity of purpose. This is what we're referring to. That at their core, at their essence, all these religious traditions and expressions speak of oneness. But when we get our human ego into the fray, that's when things start to go askew. We don't have to agree with every single teaching that we see out there, but that doesn't mean that we're not one. And I know this is a hard teaching to embrace. In unity, we honor all paths to God, except maybe sometimes that path that doesn't agree with what we're feeling at the moment. We got to back that up. We got to change that. And the time is so dire right now, at a time where we are increasingly, some of us, feeling permission to let that fear turn into violent action. Is an invitation for a shift in our collective consciousness. So let us indeed be sad. Let us indeed even be angry. Let us feel the authenticity of the emotions that are coming to us and use them like a GPS guides us to our destination. Use them as guidance to the pieces within us that still need the work to be done. When you're finished reading the story of our time, I got some other suggestions for you. Big Magic. Remember this from a couple years ago? Yeah. Creative living beyond fear. Allow this to inspire how you can be in your creative essence and connect with people in their creative essence. When we connect, we don't fear. We live from love. The Book of Joy by the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu. Did a whole talk series on this. The archives are up on YouTube. Go check them out. Desmond Tutu said, we grow in kindness when our kindness is tested. And we are in a time where our kindness is being tested like none other time before. Let's not retreat into vitriol. Let us step into even greater compassion. And if you really like the theme of oneness consciousness, Emergence by Barbara Marx Hubbard. Modern day classic that speaks of the evolution of consciousness and where we're going. All these three available in our bookstore right now. Do some shopping before you go home. But it's no good just to read these if we don't act on them. And the action isn't coming in big, dramatic ways. It is coming in the smallest of interactions between us and another, between ourselves and the guy on the other end of the supermarket aisle we're walking down who we realize has got a MAGA hat on, that we may not agree with because we see the hat and we go, oh, that means we know everything about him. We don't know nothing about anybody until we connect with them. Ultimately, we are more alike than we are unalike. Ultimately, we want more of the same things that we don't want. And this is our opportunity to live that. And I know you guys are going to rise to the challenge. That you will raise your consciousness. And just as a rising tide raises all ships, when we do that, we are going to experience the world that we're envisioning. And it may not be in our lifetime, but guess what? Even if it isn't, we're getting the ball rolling. We can take after the fact credit for it. Let's take us into meditation. To invite you to take a deep breath. Settle in to yourself. As you breathe, allow yourself to focus on the inflow and the outflow of the breath and let it pull you into this present moment. As you breathe, allow yourself to connect with the feelings that have been stirred in the last few minutes. Whether they be feelings of grief, anger, sadness, despair. Just connect with that for a moment. Honor those feelings. Know that the tension that they create within you is a catalyst for your growth, for your stepping into a deeper experience of divine love. Reconnect with the truth that anchors us. that all there is God. Come home to God. Live God. Live oneness. Let that be the inspiration to action. Love, oneness, God. In every moment, I live God. In every moment, I live God. Let us take this affirmation into the silence for a few moments. In every moment, I live God. In every moment, I live God. We affirm this for ourselves and for all these names in our prayer box, all these situations, people, circumstances. We hold the intention that they remember in every moment that they live God. And should you hold that intention for someone in your life, I invite you to say their names out loud now. And so doing, we see the best of them. We see the divine of them. We see them stepping in to the fullness of who they are as divine beings. We hold that prayer and intention for people like October, for Peter, for Patty, for all those who may be in that place of suffering and despair. And for all those who love them with our whole heart. We all live as God. This is how we transform ourselves and the world. This is how we shift to oneness. We live as God. So it is.
We are connected by the heart. Where do you end and where do I start? Anything you pray for, if fear is in your way, I am here to listen to anything you need to say. Your prayer is my prayer. too. Whatever you feel, I feel too. You're a part of me and I'm a part of you. Your prayer is my prayer too. My prayer too. I hear your worries that are in your way. I'm not sure what to do to take your pain away, but I'm here to listen to anything inside. Let angels wrap you in their love, or let spirit be your guide. Your prayer is my prayer too. Your prayer is my prayer too. Whatever you feel, I feel too. You're a part of me and I'm a part of you. Your prayer is my prayer. Your prayer is my prayer. Your prayer is my prayer too. It's my prayer too.
Thank you, Reverend Ogun. I have to keep on being reminded of that. So I just keep on listening to that over and over. Great words. So I'd like to take a moment to recognize those beautiful souls who volunteer as prayer chaplains. If you stand, if you're able, these souls are here to pray with you, whether it be a prayer of something painful or maybe gratitude. They're here for you. We also have a home and hospital prayer service. Can those folks also stand that do our home and hospital? Annie, Nancy, Catherine. See them if you have somebody that's maybe bedridden at home or in the hospital that would like to have somebody visit them from this ministry. And we also have the prayer request box, as you know. And we also have the line on our website that you can leave a prayer that will be prayed over with our chaplains and then prayed over with Silent Unity at Unity Village. And now, Ogun, I'm going to have you come up again.
So this is our time where we do take up our offering. We're going to be honored with an instrumental selection by this genius on the bass, Andy Dow. Yeah, you know.
Andy
you
Dow's
know
in the house.
And so I was going to share, what I'm about to share now is going to be part of our community meeting. By the way, the community meeting is, as soon as service is done, stay seated for the community meeting. It won't be long. The kids will not be coming in, so we're not going out and coming back in. But I do want all of you, as much as you can, to stay. We're going to give you some important updates. One of them is a financial one. As I've shared before, part of the disadvantage of having or some empty rental units is that the church income has had to kind of take up more of the slack for the rental income, and we're reaching that point where there's not a whole lot of slack left for us. And we, in times of prosperity, we saved for moments like these, and now that we have moments like that, the savings that we have saved up are pretty much mostly gone. So if you can fight in your hearts to give a little bit more today, that would be awesome, and in the future as well. Now, there's also some really potential good news coming our way that I will share in the community meeting, and to keep you up to date about what's happening over there. Some really potentially good news. So I want you to stay for it so that you don't leave here with just the idea of, oh, it's all bleak. No, there's some really potentially good news please stay to hear the potentially really good news. Okay? In the meantime, let us hold our offering in our hands and affirm the truth of our abundance together. Together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Take it away, Andy. Yeah, let's get this out of your face so people can see you. Will that work?
That works. That's perfect.
All right, there we go.
Thanks for having me.
The word sublime comes to mind. Andy's going to be actually doing a live studio recording of some original music on the 9th. Is it the 9th?
The 9th in Carlisle, Mass. If you want to talk to me, there are still spaces open.
Yes.
And if you can't make that, the 8th in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at the Button Factory. So please come for that. I have my band coming from New York, so please come by.
There you go. Thank you, Andy. Let us give thanks for today's offering. Come on up. So I invite you to take a deep breath. If you're comfortable, closing your eyes, go into that place of gratitude in your hearts as we give thanks for these gifts today. Whether you gave here at church this morning, you're watching the line and you gave from our website, you're mailing in your tithe, however you are investing in your spiritual community, we give thanks. And as always, from that place of abundance, we give a portion back into the Unity community, into the Amesbury community, and in so doing, continue that flow that we are, open to more abundance, more blessings. And so it is, and so let it be. Amen and amen. Couple other things I want to share. Again, Gala is coming up on November 10th. Next Sunday will be the last opportunity you have to buy tickets. Okay, we've got to get the restaurant a head count, so you've got till next Sunday. Please don't wait till next Sunday. Go get your tickets after the community meeting, which you're staying for, to hear the really, really potentially good news. Remember that? Okay, but today is a lucky day where one of you will be the recipient of a free ticket. So in your bulletin, if you happen to have a sticker of a pumpkin, I think. Let me look at my notes. Yeah, you got a pumpkin sticker in your, look at this, come on up. Today's your first Sunday, isn't it? Is it? Today's your first Sunday, look at that. Awesome, thank you. Wait till you see what you win next week when you come back. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what we're doing next week. I don't know what we're doing. But, hey, right? There we go. We're also, again, still looking for more items to auction off at our gala. Please see Gina out in hospitality, see how you can share. Also, we're looking for some big sponsors, and that, again, if you happen to have a business or know a business that you frequent, please see about asking them about being a sponsor for a gala. It comes along with an advertising package that we provide. See Gina again for the details. And I think that's it. Over to you, Mickey.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah,
You good? Okay. And now I'd like to do the thank yous for this service, all those folks that help make this happen. So many people, they give of their time to help Sundays happen. Some special angels this week are Jim and Joanne, and all who donated to the gala. We have thank you for teams this week: Adventures in Faith team, hospitality team, gala team, and the bookstore team. And board members, if you're here, please stand. Thank you, too, for your hard work.
Mickey, I would love to add a thank you for the folks who helped out on the cabaret, the U Club Cabaret that was on Friday night, especially to Peter Stringham, Brian Dozer, Keith Bickford, and Barry, who helped me set up big time. So thanks so much for all of you who supported the U Club Cabaret. Greatly appreciate it.
And one last thank you for those who make Wednesday night services happen. This week is the Samadhi and Meditation service with our very own Amy Jocelyn at 7 p.m. Wednesday here. And now I'd like to introduce Brian Doza.
Morris stole my thunder, but I was going to thank everyone, too, about the cabaret. It was a fun night. Gives us a chance to break out of our mold a little.
So good.
Please take the hand of your neighbor. The kids are not coming in. If you have kids over in YFM, you can go over there and collect them. Let us affirm the truth for them, for ourselves, for the entire world. And remember, as soon as we're done singing this song, you're going to sit down to hear the potentially really, really good news about what's happening at our community meeting. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well, and we are richly blessed. Amen and amen. All right, so let's have a seat. This community